Welcome to the 5-2 Diet Podcast. All the tips and information you need to lose weight and feel great with intermittent fasting. I'm Kate Harrison from the 52dietbook.com. I've lost 31 pounds, that's 14 kilograms. I've written 4 books about this lifestyle and it's transformed how I eat and how I feel. This podcast features ideas, interviews and encouragement to help you 5-2. Hello and welcome to podcast 11, which features a remarkable woman who set out to lose 11 stone in weight 15 months ago. And having lost 9 stone or 57 kilos is now getting very close to her target. After a lifetime of dieting, Sharon Munsey from Bideford in North Devon did not have high hopes when she started doing 5-2, but now she's gone from a dress size 32 to a UK size 14 and has just taken up running for the first time at the age of 54. We chat about how she's lost her chocolate cravings, loves shopping for clothes on the high street again instead of online, and is now as fit as her husband for the first time after over 35 years together. Sharon's story is proof you can change your life through intermittent fasting. Her confidence and warmth shine through. I recommend listening to her whether you want to lose 10 pounds or 10 stone. And you can see her pictures and find much more information at the 5-2dietbook.com/podcast 11. I am delighted today to welcome Sharon Munsey to the podcast. Hello, Sharon.
Hello.
So you've recently caused a bit of a stir in the 5-2 Facebook group because you posted to say you'd lost 9 stone.
I know.
Which, if you're in different money, that's £126 or over 57 kilos in weight. Well done. It's just incredible. I'm not surprised it's caused a stir.
Yeah, I was just completely gobsmacked by the number of likes and comments. I'm still incredibly touched by the nice things people have said, but it is quite amazing, isn't it? I don't really believe it myself.
And yet it's not the end of your journey either, is it? You still say you've got weight to lose.
Yes, I've got about 1.5 stone that I want to lose. And it's really slowed down now, but I'm feeling so much better and fitter that I know I'll get there eventually. I will.
So let's go back in time a little bit. Have you always been overweight?
Oh, for as long as I can remember. Certainly teenage years, I was big. Pre-teenager, yes, I was always on the big side. I got bigger as teenage years progressed.
And was that something in your family as well?
Well, up until her last few years, my mum was always pretty skinny. My dad's family were pretty chunky and tall. My sister's now, well, she's bigger than me now, which is the first time ever. But she's put on a lot of weight through ill health. But no, it's a very small family and kind of mixed genes. So my family always celebrated their love, and shared love and showed love by food. So any celebration, any party was always surrounded by lots of food and booze. So it was inevitable I was going to be big.
That's not uncommon, is it? It's how a lot of us show that. Mm-hmm. And then that's something presumably you carried on from your own family life into adult life.
Yeah, well, it becomes ingrained. It becomes our script, doesn't it? And that's what you do. And it's only when the last sort of few years really that I, certainly when my mum died, I suddenly thought actually I don't have to do this anymore, because she used to get upset if we didn't eat her food, and that's just crazy. And I didn't want to do that for my children. So
such an emotional thing, I think, for both genders actually, but particularly for women, isn't it? Because there's so much around nurturing and feeling good and self-comforting. Is that something you felt you were doing over the years?
I did a course, a group work kind of situation thing to see if I was an emotional eater. I stopped the course, but I decided I'm not an emotional eater. I was just a chocolate eater. I just liked food and just ate too much of it and ate the wrong things. I didn't eat when I was sad or bored or angry or lonely. I just ate too much.
Was that having health effects?
Oh, yeah. Just walking up a flight of stairs, I'd be out of breath. I mean, I still used to, obviously, I've always worked and I've always gone out and about and done things, but I'd find any excuse not to walk anywhere. get the car everywhere. I didn't exercise at all. Although I've always loved swimming, I was just too embarrassed to get into the pool, so everything went by the wayside. And that changed after about 3 months of dieting, really. I found I could start moving.
Had you made previous attempts to diet during your life?
Yes, yes. Certainly in my, whilst I was still at school, I tried low fat. That worked for a while. I tried the F-plan diet that worked really well but had horrible consequences.
Yes, not everyone remembers that. Because,
terrible stomach pains, it just couldn't sustain it. And then calorie counting. I'd tried, loads of them really. But I'd find that I'd lose weight. I'd lose 3 or 4 stone over a sort of 3 or 4 month period. Then I'd just drop off the wagon, and it was either a holiday or a birthday or something would happen, and I'd fall off the diet and not go back on it. And of course the weight went back on plus.
I don't know about you, but I always used to feel the most terrible failure after that.
Yeah, really. I was so angry with myself because I was, every time I lost weight, I said, never putting it back on again, but always did. But that's really changed the 5'2". I think that it's really worked for me, and it's just kind of easy, and I feel so good particularly on the fast days, which I didn't expect to. I just know I'm going to be able to keep this going for life, really.
So let's go back then to January 2014, I think it was, and we're now speaking in April 2015. So what led you to trying out intermittent fasting?
A friend mentioned that they were going to do it. This isn't a local friend, it's an international friend. And I didn't know anything about it, never heard anything. So I watched the programme and bought your book and said, I'm going to give this a go. It's just that simple. Something happened, and reading the book just made sense.
And at that point, how much did you weigh and what size clothes were you wearing?
I was 21.5 stone, 302 pounds. Clothes-wise, I was a 32 top and 28 trousers. So it was really big, really big.
It must have really been hard work finding clothes to wear.
It was hard, yeah. It was always online. I really love clothes, so not to be able to wear nice things. I did wear nice enough clothes. I always wore bright colours because I'm a colourful person, but they weren't nice clothes. They're tents, really, aren't they?
You're not going to get much tailoring, are you?
No, there was no tailoring. They're just kind of like sacks, really, because lots of lumps and bumps need to be covered. So they used to hang from the shoulder over my boobs, and then it'd be straight down. It wasn't attractive at all by any means.
Going to that January then, and you did your research, did you believe it was going to be something that was going to be different, that you could stick at, unlike all the other diets?
No, didn't know that first. No, I just thought, I really know I need to lose weight. This was just the next one to try. I'd looked at things like Atkins and Weight Watchers and Slimming World, and I just couldn't bear any of those. The points and the counting of sins and things like that didn't make any sense to me whatsoever, and Atkins just seemed wrong. So I just thought, I'm going to give this a go. I didn't have any high hopes, really.
And before your first fast day, how did you feel? Were you apprehensive?
Yes, I really didn't know what to feel, because usually what happens if I miss a meal, I get really grumpy and grouchy and lightheaded, and I don't know, it just felt horrible. So this one I thought, what am I going to be like? And I deliberately picked a busy day. Tuesdays and Thursdays are my busiest days at work. So I thought, if I pick a busy day, I'm less likely to think about being hungry. But I went into work that day and immediately got a pint of water from the cooler and sipped my way through that and thought, actually, this isn't too bad. And as the day went on, it got to about 3 o'clock, and then I thought, I haven't even had my lunch, and thought, this is strange. Normally I would have been sort of reaching for the biscuit tin at 10:30 or 11 o'clock, even though I might have had breakfast, but it didn't. So I knew from day one it was going to be different, but it wasn't till I think week 2 really that I really noticed that this was going to be best and good for me. It's going to work. Of course, the weight dropped off very quickly over the first few months.
Can you remember what the most was in, say, 1 week?
Oh, 0.5 stone.
Wow.
Yeah. You
were seeing that difference on the scales. Did you feel it in yourself very quickly as well?
After about a month, clothes started to feel looser. It probably was before then, but after a month, you know things are, you can put your hands in your trousers and there isn't so much blubber going over the sides of them. That was nice, and certainly to start buying smaller clothes which I've done. Oh, I spent a fortune on clothes going down these sizes.
I can imagine.
Never mind, that's fine.
So where are you now then? So you said you were a 30, 32.
Yes.
What size are you now, UK size?
We've just been away for the weekend to Totnes, and there were some fabulous shops there. So I just basically walked up and down the high street trying on anything I liked, and I ended up buying quite a lot of clothes. Well, I bought 2 pairs of trousers and 5 tops. The largest was a 16. The smallest was a 14.
That's just incredible, and
Yeah.
that freedom you must have now to buy lovely things.
It's dangerous now because I can go into any shop and I'll find something that I can fit into, where, it was pretty much only Evans that you can buy things when you're 30, 32.
And those as well, because we have listeners as well as in the UK, in the States, I mean, that is now a US size 10, a size 14, which is a pretty exciting thing. Yeah, their sizes are comparatively lower. So our 16 is is their 12. So that is a US size 10. You are a size 10. Did you ever think you'd get to that?
Never. No, I mean, I don't ever remember being a size 14 or 16, even as a teenager.
Going back to the earlier days, you obviously had the fast days, and we know those are about 500 calories for women, about 600 for men. But you made a decision to calorie count on your other days, and this is something that some people do, but a lot of us don't. So tell me a bit about your thinking there.
Well, I mean, the book says that, that if you fight through the traditional way, you lose a pound or 2 a week. But I wanted to, certainly in the early days, I wanted to lose faster than that, because I knew if I only lost a pound or 2, I'd be dieting forever and ever and ever, and it would just take an age to lose the weight. So I decided to, I think I started on about 15 or 1600 calories. I can't remember now. I know I've adjusted it over the year and a bit. It used to be about 600 on fast days.
That does make sense, having a slightly higher total, because you would have been used to eating so much more, I guess. And also, the bigger you are, the higher your energy needs, although that adjusts as you lose the weight.
Yes. I mean, occasionally I still do those and notice it's still going down and down.
So this is your total daily energy expenditure, which is a calculation for those of people who are listening that don't know, that gives you an idea of what your body needs to keep a stable weight. So obviously in your case, you decided to eat a bit less than your TDEE, or quite a lot less actually, because you were heavier at that point, and that speeds up the weight loss because you're actually getting a much bigger calorie deficit each week, and that calorie deficit means your body turns to your fat stores to propel itself through the day, which is why you were getting those amazing losses like half a stone. I'm interested, you said that you were put off things like Slimming World or Weight Watchers because of the calorie counting, and yet here you are talking about calorie counting.
Look, the calories, I find, that's fine. In any book or any website, there's cookbooks, they have calorie counts in them. So I get calories. It's the sins and the points, the Weight Watchers points system that I don't know how they do it. I mean, I've got a colleague at work and she's doing Slimming World, I think. She says that, I can have unlimited amount of whatever this thing is. And I thought, well, you can't. If you could just eat it all day, you'd probably put on weight. So how can it be free? I couldn't get my head around it.
I think with the exception of celery, that's probably true, isn't it? Celery and lettuce you could probably eat all day if you could bear it.
So I made the decision that I was going to do the calorie counting, but really look into the nutritional side of things and eat really good, nutritionally sound foods. So rather than sort of saying I'm going to save my calories and have a Mars bar, which I have done on other diets, I've made sure I've eaten foods that satisfy me.
What choices have you been making that are better than the ones you made?
Soups have really been a brilliant thing for me here. On lunch days I have soup, and I'm amazed how soup fills you up and keeps you filled up. But I'm eating loads of fruit and vegetables, nuts and seeds. Porridge, I love my porridge. I have porridge every breakfast with prunes and bran and seeds. So I'm feeding my body and feeding my brain so that I'm not feeling deprived.
Were those things you were aware of before? Did you know what the right foods were and you were choosing not to eat them?
Oh, yes, I've always known what the right foods were, because obviously when you've been overweight forever, people are very quick to tell you what you should and shouldn't be eating. You go to a restaurant, you can see the disapproval from some people when you order, I don't know, chocolate mousse or whatever, pudding. You shouldn't be having that. You should be having the fruit salad. So I knew what I was eating was wrong, but that doesn't mean you stop doing it, does it? Because it's kind of an addiction, I suppose.
It is very hard to make that intervention or to find a way of getting your head around it. Have you found then that the fast days, that mind over matter thing, has helped you on the non-fasting days?
Definitely. Somehow it's made me in control. Before I started this diet, I was not in control of my eating at all. And I think because I was, with the combination of the calorie counting and the rules on 5-2, when you eat, delaying it as long as possible, meant that I was in control of what went in my mouth and into my body. Where before you just eat, and then probably half an hour later go and nibble something else. That was really special for me very important for me to feel in control. So I think it's the first time, and I think this is why it's worked.
A lot of people do talk about that sense of freedom or liberation, which if you've never struggled with your weight might sound like an exaggeration, but I know that was how I felt completely. But what people who haven't tried this also seem to fixate on a little bit is hunger. How do you feel about hunger and appetite now?
When I get hungry now, I can't say I ever get so hungry my stomach's really, really growling, even on fast days. And I think that's because I drink a lot of water. That kind of keeps the growls away, doesn't it? A lot.
It definitely helps. And as you say, soup and hot drinks, I find, especially in the winter when it gets a bit chilly.
But before, when I was just eating how I used to, I suppose my body never did get hungry because I was eating all the time and picking and nibbling on this, that and the other. Crisps and chocolate and stuff, which is horrible stuff. Really, it doesn't do anything for you, but it stops you being hungry. Where now, if I do get a bit hungry, it actually reminds me that I'm doing this right. I'm not overeating. It reminds me that I'm alive, which is nice, and I'm in control, and I've got the choice whether I bring my meal forward or wait, or just have some more water.
And waiting is pretty easy, really, isn't it? You do just make that decision and then the hunger pangs go away.
Yes, I find it much easier to distract myself now if I'm in a situation where, I know I can't eat. I used to perhaps, if I was driving home from work, I'd keep a bar of chocolate in the car to drive on the way home. Now I take an apple with me so that, I did in the early days of 5-2. I used to eat an apple on the way home. That was instead of having a bar of chocolate. But I don't even do that now because I know I can wait till I get home. I'm not going to die of starvation before 40 minutes drive home. It's funny how these things get stuck in your head.
I think with snacking, it's not just the psychology, it's also we have been encouraged for many years to believe that the world will end if we don't have a chocolate bar to hand. Our blood sugar levels will drop, and it's been a real surprise to me how increasing the gap between meals, right back to what our grandparents probably would have suggested we do, seems to have extra benefits. You were saying that on a fast day, actually, you feel really good.
I'm still surprised by that, as to why that should be. To not have any food. What is it that makes it feel so good? But I get up about 6:30 in the morning, and I start work quite early. And as I said before, I always get a pint of water, keep a pint of water on my desk. And I usually have my lunch about 2, if I'm lucky. This is a moment. And I'll have my soup at lunch and my plum or whatever it is. But I'm not always hungry. I expect to be really hungry at lunchtime, but I'm not. And then that'll do. I'll probably have a cup of coffee before I leave, so probably about 4:30. And then I'll go to the gym on the way home, get home 6 or something, cook dinner. So it's a quite a long day without too much food, but I don't know. I seem to have more energy. Certainly, I'm super sharp brain-wise on fast days, which I didn't expect at all. I expected to be kind of sleepy and drowsy, but not at all. I don't really understand it, but I like it.
I like it too, and I think there's some evolutionary theory that when you've got a bit of an appetite going on, or when your body hasn't had much food, your brain does get sharper in order to try and either remember the last time you found food or find a smarter way to get it. Obviously, we're making this choice, but we still get those benefits. I feel the same. I mean, I'm fasting today and I feel really sharp, and I also found I had lots of energy to go for a run earlier, which surprised me. You've talked about fast days. What typically might you eat on a non-fasting day?
Okay, well, today's a non-fasting day, so I'll talk through my meals for today. First, I got up and had my run, because I prefer to exercise first thing in the morning, so I did my couch to 5k run. Came home and I had my porridge, which is porridge half and half, milk and water, because I found that works for me, of which I have half as much bran as oats. I also put in some chia seeds. I found pretty amazing, give me a bit of extra protein. And with that, I'll have blueberries and some prunes and a cup of tea. Then I had a cup of coffee. Then we went out for a bike ride and we cycled to a beautiful cafe at Fremington Quay, and I had a whole grain baguette with very thinly sliced goat's cheese and sweet chilli relish. It was absolutely delicious and I enjoyed every single mouthful, and I calorie counted it when I got home and it wasn't as bad as I thought. And another cup of coffee. I've had a cup of tea about an hour ago, and tonight I'm going to be doing a rainbow beef stir fry from your book. So I do cook 5-2 dinners most days actually, because we like them and they're very tasty. I might just have a little bit bigger portion, or add a little bit of rice, or I mean, I usually have cauliflower rice actually, because I don't find rice very palatable nowadays. And then I've got a tropical fruit salad that I made yesterday in the fridge, so I will have that with some zero fat Greek yogurt, and that will be my menu for the day. It should be about 1,400 calories, I think.
You're getting a lot of food there for your 1,400 by making good choices.
Yeah, I am making good choices, and so it's good for mind, body and soul. That's the plan with my foods.
Do you still get cravings for chocolate and things like that?
Not at all. We were away for the weekend and I did have a chocolate pudding one day, but I was able to have, there were small portions because it was fancy food. I really, really, really enjoyed it, but it didn't make me want to go and scoff a chocolate bar, no.
You were talking about exercise. So we heard at the beginning that you liked to swim, but you rarely did it before because you felt self-conscious.
Yeah.
Exercise is a big part of your life now, isn't it?
It really is, yeah. I'd never believe I would hear myself saying that, because I used to hate it, really hate it and dread it. After I'd lost a few stone on 5'2", I started off with an exercise bike here at home, but that's pretty boring. So luckily I had a bit of an inheritance, so I bought a cross trainer, gradually built up my speed and stamina on that, so that was 45 minutes. And then after I lost another few stone, I thought I'm going to join a gym, and I never thought in a million years I'd join a gym. But I joined a women-only gym that does a circuit in 30 minutes, so I know anyone can do anything for 30 minutes, and found I really liked it. So I go to that 3 times a week now, and last week I've started the couch to 5k. So
brilliant.
I had my first run of 3 for week 2 this morning. Managed that, didn't die. And also yesterday, my husband and I went out and bought bikes, so we've had a 50-minute bike ride today as well. So I'm doing quite well today.
That is amazing. I used to feel quite similar, actually. I used to feel very self-conscious. I've gone through phases of being more into fitness, but I'm on week 5 of couch to 5k at the moment. Although I have done it before. I have done it a couple of times before, but the one I'm doing this time involves being chased by zombies.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Which is great fun, the Zombies Run app, so I just put it on my phone, and I'm finding it really good fun. I mean, I do find some weeks or some days harder than the other, but such a nice feeling to run, and you find that after you've been going for a little while, the feeling of, again, freedom and a little bit of speed really comes along. And
always wanted to run. I mean, I was quite sporty as a teenager. I played tennis and hockey and things like that, but never sort of cross country running or any kind of running whatsoever. But I always wanted to, and I've had dreams about running. So I saw this Couch to 5'10". I think it was an advert on television or something, and I thought, I'm going to have a go at that. Kept putting it off for a while until the weather improved. But I thought there's no excuse now. It's so gorgeous. I've got to start. At the end of last week, so I'd just come to the end of week 1, my gym said, we're getting a team together for the 5K run in Barnstable on July the 7th or 5th or something like that. Would you like to join? I said, yes. So I thought, there we go. I've got to do it now.
It's good to have something to aim for, isn't it?
I do worry I'm not going to be able to do it, though. But, they said, don't worry, you can walk it if you can't run it.
So we're talking now 15 months, roughly, aren't we, of 5-2ing. Mm. How do you feel now in comparison to how you felt when you started?
Oh, I feel alive now. I feel younger. I'm certainly a lot fitter. I'm fitter than my husband, and that's the first time forever. I mean, we've been together forever. I was 17 when we met, and I've never been fitter than him. He's always been fitter. And the bike ride today, I beat him, so that was great. And I feel a different person, really, completely different person.
And what kind of a response then have you had from your husband, apart from beating him on the bike ride, and from friends and work colleagues?
Most people who see me sort of say, oh my God, wow, you're half the person you used to be, and you look fabulous, and comments like that. So it's really, I have a big grin on when I meet people I haven't seen for a while. It's lovely.
I'm not surprised. Mm-hmm. The photographs that you've posted in the group are just stunning.
Thank you.
It's incredible, and you have lost more than a person in weight.
I know. And I keep discovering new parts of my body. I've got these tendons at the back of my knees. Now, I've never felt those before. And, and bones that never used to be there because they were well padded. I can now feel them and see them. It's quite strange having this body that you didn't used to have.
It's lying down in bed, isn't it, and feeling your hip bones.
Yeah. I don't know when I'm going to get used to it, but it doesn't matter if I don't. It's great.
I find it also amazing when I pick up, say, the amount of weight I lost. I lost 31 pounds. And picking that up, if I find something that's the equivalent, for you, that must be even more startling to imagine that you were carrying that around with you. No wonder you didn't feel you could exercise.
Yeah. Well, I've started doing a weight loss group at work. I'm a manager of a mental health day centre, and we've got lots of clients that are overweight and wanting to lose weight. And we were talking about weight loss, and I was using my own self as, if you like, a case study. Someone said, I've lost a bag of sugar this week. And they said, how many bags of sugar have you lost, Sharon? And I can't remember. I said 50. I don't know what it was. And they said, well, if you put 50 bags of sugar in your pockets and in a backpack on your back, you probably wouldn't be able to move. And I thought, yes, that's right. I don't know how I managed to move with all that weight, really.
It is really amazing. Do you have any worries? You mentioned before that you've been through that cycle of yo-yo dieting, which I've been through as well, and I'm sure will be familiar to many people listening. Are you worried that you might get to your target and then start putting the weight back on again?
No, I'm not worried about that now. I'm if I gain a couple of pounds like I do when we go on holiday, all I know is I've just got to get straight back on track, and it goes again. I've found that the times when we have been on holiday, and I might have put on half a stone in a couple of weeks on holiday or whatever, that half a stone has gone within a week of being home. So sometimes just the sort of change in diet for a couple of weeks, and then going back on 5-2, everything just kicks in really quickly.
I've found that too as well. We went away. We had this amazing trip to Australia for a whole month, and I didn't limit what I ate or drank at all while we were there, because it was a trip of a lifetime. Yeah. And it was all gone within probably about 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I mean, we went to Cape Verde early in the year, and it was lovely. I drank wine and beer and ate whatever I wanted. I didn't go mad, but I ate whatever I wanted. And I think it was about half a stone that I put on. But because it went so quickly, because I don't normally drink alcohol when I'm at home, or very rarely anyway, I think alcohol does something to my body that makes me hold on to the weight. So when I stop drinking, and it would just drop off. If I put on a couple of pounds, I know I can lose it again.
There's so much research still going on about why intermittent fasting can work and what potential benefits there are. And obviously we're all anecdotal examples for now, but it's very exciting to see what they might uncover in the future. Imagining that somebody is listening to this podcast right now and thinking, well, you've done so incredibly, but I'm not sure this is for me. What would you say to that person?
I'd say give it a try. You don't know until you try it. When I was very kind of sceptical, if you like, that's the right word, when I started. I didn't know if it would work for me. You don't know unless you try. You might be completely surprised and find it's absolutely the right thing for you, and it is for me. This has worked incredibly. Can't recommend it enough, and it's so adjustable. You can eat what you want. You could just have Mars bars if you wanted to. If you're really desperate, I wouldn't advise it, but you could if you wanted to. It's up to you what you want to eat, but it's great.
Well, thank you so much for talking today. You've been an inspiration to so many people in the Facebook group, and it's great that lots of people in the podcast will, I'm sure, feel the same way. And we will update when you get to your target, not long now.
I will. Yeah, I will get there.
For more free tips, recipes and information, visit the 5-2dietbook.com. Follow me on Twitter @the52diet, or download free samples of the books online at Amazon. Join in the lifestyle change everyone is talking about.